Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Decision Hour. I'm Adam, and Patti, how are you?
Good, Adam. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Thanks. You
caught me off guard there.
And if you're listening to this show, thank you, because this is a pre-recorded show oftentimes, and I want to welcome all the three-letter agencies that are listening to this pre-recorded show right now. So, Patti, why don't you tell everybody what our topic is today, and maybe they'll understand where did that come from?
Privacy.
Privacy. Oh, see, now it makes a little more sense. Privacy. Privacy is a big thing. You're kind of a private person.
I am and I'm not. Like, I have to be public because of our radio show,
Right,
our talk show,
right,
and some of the events I go to. But I'm actually really private when it comes to I'll only divulge what I want about myself out there.
And I think that's the way it should be. I think that's the way it should be. I think oftentimes in today's society, though, like you see like identity stolen and stuff like that, or which is like an invasion of privacy, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Home break-ins and stuff like that, evasion of privacy and stuff like that. So today's topic is going to be on privacy. Maybe some things what you can do to beef up your privacy, or be more aware of what you should be private about.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does. Yeah. I'm definitely a private person when it comes to my personal life, my family, my personal friendships. I think that everybody should, have the, I don't know.
Yeah.
Help me out here. Should have that privacy.
I think it's with today's technology, it's hard to be private with anything other than, because everybody wants to put their stuff on social media. Everybody wants to put their stuff on it. Like when it goes out on the internet, it's there. I'll give you case in point. I think, and we've talked about this in a past show. I think that we talked about the what is it? The when you get your blood drawn to see your ancestry, right?
Right.
There's a lot of there's supposedly some strict privacy laws to that, right? And everybody's like, "Oh, I'm gonna send a sample of my DNA in to see where I come from," and I've always said that's a horrible idea. Because eventually somebody's going to get a hold of that information, and then they're going to they'll be able to have that stuff on file. The government will have that on file. Now, I know what some of you are thinking right now. You're thinking,
I was just
oh my God, here's Adam going on to one of these conspiracy rants. Listen, as of lately, the FBI has confiscated, and I'm not sure which company it is. You can look it up, Google it. But they've gotten full access to one of those companies that are doing the, test my DNA for my ancestry or whatever it's called. I forget what those things are because I think it's a horrible idea. It's kind of interesting, but I can't buy into it.
My input though is this. Have you not seen the Ted Bundy series? Where back in like the 60s and 70s, they didn't have anybody's DNA on file or anything. If they had, they would have been able to catch him much quicker.
Listen, I get that.
Like, what are you hiding at?
I'm not talking about, I'll get to that in a second, but I'm not talking about that stuff. I'm talking about you pay for a service. You pay a couple $100 to send in your DNA sample so they can tell you what supposedly you're part of, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's all I don't want to say false because no proof of that. But what if I would like to see where or what the privacy statements on these companies say. And then
I
where
know.
the FBI comes in and says, "Hey, we're confiscating all this information." I mean, we're talking thousands and thousands of people that have paid money to have this, DNA swab or whatever to say, "Oh, you're Scandinavian and you're German and you're."
I've already had mine done, so it's too late for me. But I don't care because I don't have anything to hide, and I don't care what they do with my blood. If they try to clone me, I just feel bad for the next generation.
Well, that's another thing. That's all. Isn't that evasion? Isn't that? I guess it's no longer evasion of privacy if you put it out there like that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's how they look at it.
I mean, I guess I'd like them to pay for my blood if they want it, at least. Maybe that's it.
Yeah, but do you think the government's not going to do that? I mean, the government is just, and I'm sure it'll have to do with some type of national security issue, which is all horseshit anyway. Sorry, rubbish, whatever.
So have you seen that Netflix show? It's called You.
No, I have not seen You.
Okay, well, it's about this guy. His name's Joe. And this actually sort of creeped me out because it's like, wow, the girl in the show, her name is Beck. I sort of had some things in common with her. So I like to write and I like listening to music and I like some of the things that she had gone through. I felt like, wow, that's sort of like I could relate a little bit on some level. And I think a lot of girls can or whatever. So this guy Joe worked at a bookstore and she went into his bookstore one day. They never knew each other and they started talking just a little bit. Like she was just being nice, like, "Hey, how are you? Nice to meet you." Well, on checkout, she gave him her credit card and it had her first and last name on it. And long story short, he ended up tracking her down just by her first and last name and like stalked her online. And then found out where she lived and then ended up, quote unquote, bumping into her accidentally. And anyways, it escalated from there. And I'm not going to give the end of the series away. I watched the whole thing. I like it a lot. And I can't wait till the next season 2.
Did she get a restraining order?
No. But she didn't even realize, like this guy was so sly, she didn't even realize that he had been stalking her. He just would accidentally show up in these places. And then they ended up dating. It was so bizarre.
See, now was he stalking her or was he just persistent?
No, he was definitely, like he was sneaking in her apartment and.
Oh, that's some crazy shit right there.
Yeah, I can't like divulge the entire show, but I guess I'll warn people. There's some spoilers here. He ended up he killed her boyfriend so that he could be with her, like crazy stuff.
Oh my God.
Yeah. But it makes you think because all he did was have her first and last name, found her online on Facebook.
And that's just it. You can find everything now on the internet.
Yeah.
So what privacy do we have now as citizens?
Right. And then you get crazy people too that don't know you, who they think they know you because of something that you post online, but they really, you get these crazy people sometimes.
We're talking privacy, Patti, and obviously the internet, cyber is a huge proponent of all this privacy talk, right? You have the internet. Anything that you put out there is out there. Once it's on the internet, it's there. It's never going to go away. It's there. Your phone number, your emails that you send. You send anything through your phone. Text messages are never gone. Emails are never gone. There are ways to get that stuff years and years and years down the road. Excuse me. When you're and this kind of ties in with it. You don't have like the Alexa or like the Google. I forget which Google thing is, but do you have like Alexa or those little Amazon things that you say, Alexa, play something, whatever?
No, but my phone, I can't even say her name because she will turn on like, hey, you know who.
Yeah. And so your phone's voice activated.
Yeah. So, hey, Siri. except you know what? I have it on
And she's
off,
making
so never
you-
mind. I
she's
have it off.
making
So
you a
usually,
liar
yeah,
right
hey
now.
Siri, it'll say, you know, how can I help you, or what do you need, or whatever.
Yeah. See, I've heard, again, this is okay. Like, I already hear what our listeners are saying right now. I was like, here goes Adam on another conspiracy rant. You have those, like the Alexas, and I only say Alexa because I like Amazon as a company and the stuff that they put out. But
Potential sponsors.
But Google, yeah, or Google. Make sure you reach out to us. info@heroesmediagroup.com or thedecisionhour@gmail.com. And if you say, you know, Alexa, play this, or Alexa, play, I've heard that there are certain ways that you can, if the people, and I say people, more like 3-letter organizations that are already listening to this pre-recorded conversation, can tap in to that and hear what conversations and stuff that you're going on. If people know that you have that that product of some sort, like, and you've seen this like already, like when we do this show, folks, Patti and I, we're looking at each other, even though she's in Florida right now. I'm up in Pennsylvania. We do the webcam, and we're you know, talking to each other. But I've seen where people have tapped into, like, oh, they have a computer with a webcam. Let's tap into that. Like, I've seen it on NCIS. You've seen it on, and I know that stuff happens. You know,
Yeah.
oh, it's just a TV show. No, it's not. That stuff really happens. There are people out there that get paid to do this stuff for the government.
And you know what? Like, we just had a couple of guys come over to give me a quote on security cameras. So we are going to put security cameras up outside the house, right? Well, it was suggested that we put a couple inside the house. And I was like, no. If somebody makes it that far in the house, they're not going to leave my house anyways. So... So what's the point in that?
I wish I would have screenshotted your face right there. Because, like, if they get in the house, they're not leaving anyway.
They're not leaving.
She's just like,
do you wanna
oh
come
my
in for
God.
tea?
You're going to sit down, bud. You're going to be here for a while, and you're not walking out. So enjoy this last cup of coffee, because it's...
It just freaks me out, though, because you hear of all these people's cameras getting hacked and stuff on your TV, on your computer. So why is the security camera no different?
Do you remember that movie back in the like late 90s, mid 90s called Enemy at the State?
Yeah.
With Gene Hackman and Will Smith. Mm-hmm. Like they hacked into that stuff even back then. I mean, they've been doing it for years. I mean, hacking has been something, you know, if the government wants to know if anybody wants to know who you are, it's getting to the point now where you have to create all these different security systems for everything that you have. Mm-hmm. It's hard to go undetectable or untraceable. So it's cyber. Let's keep moving forward here. We've talked about the blood and the ancestry stuff. Mm-hmm. All right, and
this is the
and
conspiracy hour.
I could literally just go on and on. This is a horrible.
Not the
idea,
decision
people.
hour, the conspiracy hour.
Horrible idea, people. Horrible. Meeting people.
Yeah.
Like, you go to a bar or something like that. Here's the thing. I'm going to tell you this. All you single people out there that listen to this show, first off, thank you. But second, if you're thinking about dating, like when you go on and you're like, you know, first, I don't know, half a dozen dates, like don't like, listen, you don't have to give them your entire life story. Mm-hmm. Right away. Like, don't give them like, oh, here's my bank card. No, don't do that. That's stupid. Don't. Like,
yeah, that's true. Or, hey, if you want to come over and I don't answer the door, here's the code to my door. I've only given my code out to my door to one person that's not in my family. And it took
yeah. And do you remember when we were, I mean, because we're both Midwest people. Mm-hmm. Do you remember growing up? Did you ever lock your house?
No, we never locked our house.
Neither did we. You know why? You didn't have to worry about stuff like that now. Nowadays, it's like, I got a deadbolt. I got 3 other locks. I got a shot. I mean.
But you know what? I think when we were growing up, like for me at least, my grandpa was a retired police officer. My dad did stuff with like the sheriff's department. I grew up in a gun-loving family. So my dad made it pretty known to anybody. Like if you're going to break into our house, you're not going to leave.
Yeah.
Maybe that's where I get it from, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, people didn't want to break into other people's houses back then because you really didn't know what you were going to walk into. Nowadays,
I like to think of it as like maybe back then people had more respect for each other.
Morals, better morals.
Right.
And, that too.
It seems like we've, as a society as a whole, we've lost a lot of that. It's not completely gone
agree.
because, but I think with the, and I don't want to say the millennials because everybody's pointing the finger at the next generation, whatever. But
there's a lot of smart kids.
But I think there's a lot that can contest to. If you look at what it was like growing up in the 80s, 70s and 80s, even early 90s compared to what it is now. Like even in the early 90s, we never had to lock our house or anything like that. It's like you went outside, you out playing for a couple hours, you came home, you know.
But so I was, like I said, I was watching the Ted Bundy show. And actually back in the 70s, there was a lot of fear for serial killers. And we haven't heard of any. I mean, I haven't heard of any big serial killers lately.
There's enough.
There's bodies everywhere.
Yeah, there's enough crap going on right now. There's like that doesn't even make a good story anymore. And
Isn't that sad?
I hate saying that and to sound like I'm insensitive because I'm really not an insensitive person. But this is the way it is. You know,
it's true. Yeah, it's all over the news every day, all day. Yeah.
You know, and another thing about privacy that I think often people tend to look over is like your trash. You know, you can get a lot of information going through somebody's trash. I'm not saying that I've gone through anybody's trash. I'm just saying, like, I say when you throw out your trash and stuff and you have like important stuff, you know, shred your paperwork. And like, I shred it to the point where I don't even put it in the same trash can. I don't put it in the same trash bag. I don't even put it out at the same time. I'll save some of the important stuff and separate it so it goes out one week and then the next batch will go out the second week, or I might take it and throw it somewhere else. I mean, it's or burn it.
Do you have a shredder?
I do.
I have a really good shredder. I don't think anybody can.
I do. You shred that stuff to where it would take somebody years to put that like paper, you know, puzzle or paper mache or whatever back together. I think so. When you have important documents or important stuff that you're throwing away in the garbage, you know, make sure you shred your stuff, and I mean to where it's gone. I mean, I've gone in excess of shredding it, dumping water on it. You know, I've shredded it and then, you know, used it for, you know, fireplace and stuff like that.
I'd like to be a fly on your wall someday. Like, here's Adam. Maybe not a fly because flies are gross, but you know, I'll put a little security camera in your house.
Yeah,
Adam.
that's just it. And you know, that's another thing. You know what? Let's talk about that for a second. Now you brought that up. Now you got me looking around and stuff. How many people actually check for bugs? And I'm not talking like cockroaches or anything like that. You know, I'm talking about, have you ever swept your house? Have you ever thought like you were under investigation for something and you like swept for bugs in your house?
I think we need to have a show on what is Adam so paranoid about.
I'm not paranoid. I'm saying this stuff actually happens to people.
If somebody wanted to spy on me, though, they would be so bored. Like, you're a little bit more exciting, I guess.
I don't know what you're talking. I have nothing to hide. If the government listen, just because there's a black vehicle with blacked out windows outside my door 90% of the time, that means nothing. That just could be the neighbor.
You know, when my kids were little, I don't even remember which house we lived at. I think it was while my husband was still in the military. They named the internet FBI surveillance van.
Oh, yeah.
I think a lot of people did that, but it was funny back when it happened. You know, get the neighbors looking around. Who's that? Especially the older people.
Patti, we're getting up on time here, but I want to bring up one more thing when it comes to privacy, because you mentioned like your ATM and stuff like that earlier, right?
Yeah.
ATM machines and gas stations. I know down in Arizona, several months ago, they they had found that people were going and were stealing your credit card number or your debit card number at the gas stations. There was a device that they were putting over the little card slot on the gas pump, and I think they were doing it in some ATM areas as well. But you put your card in, and it was a reader, and they could steal that. So they'd come back a couple hours later, and they would take that reader, and they would have that information. They could pop that right off, and then they had all your information right there. So I think when I go to the gas pump, I check the reader, I shake it to make sure that it's actually attached, because if you shake it and it's loose or it pops off, then you know that it's fake.
Yeah, I do the same thing. Every time before I get gas, I look at that little card reader. I've had my credit card stolen before.
Yeah.
Somebody, I don't know where, like how they picked up the numbers, probably a gas station, because I don't even use my card that much. But they bought a vacuum cleaner. However, thankfully, I have an app on my phone that will tell me as soon as my credit card is used.
Yep, I do the same. Or
Yes.
if I spend a ridiculous amount of money, they'll ask me, like, are you sure you want this purchase?
Yeah. So right away I found out, and I actually found out they were using it at a Walmart to buy this vacuum cleaner. I tracked down the Walmart on my own. I talked to the manager. I called the police for them to meet the people when they went to go pick up the vacuum cleaner. However, they must have been tipped off. I honestly think it was somebody who worked at Walmart, because the police couldn't find them and nobody ever showed up to pick up the vacuum. So somebody knew somebody.
That's crazy. So the moral of the story of this show, folks, is privacy. What are you doing to ensure that you still have some type of privacy in your life?
Yeah, for me on social media, it's only posting surface layer issues or parts of my life.
I don't even, I'm not a popular person on social media, but
Yeah, you are.
I got a public figure
Mr.
page
Popular.
that's got a couple people, and my personal page, I usually only check in when I'm going to the airports, and that's kind of dumb to do that, but at the same time, it's like, here I go traveling again, and my son, and that's another thing, you check in. I don't care, so that's why I check in, because I don't care where people see where I'm going, and it just kind of lets other family members know it usually sparks a text, or like, God, you're on the road again. You know? And it's like, yep, here I am, blah, 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 and even stuff like that, they say don't check in the airports or what restaurants, whatever, but you might see patterns, but it's you really, other than that, I don't post on social media. It's on Facebook or anything like that. Twitter,
You have to watch that stuff too, because I noticed a few months ago that my Facebook automatically was trying to enable something called Find My Friends.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my word. I didn't even know that was on. And then somewhere along the line, my phone was sending my location to my friends not even my friends, people on my contacts list on my phone.
There's a way to shut that off.
Yeah, I did, because I could not believe, I looked to see who was following me one day, and I'm like, oh my gosh, how can these people see, they literally could see me on a map.
Yeah.
That's kind of crazy.
It's in Facebook, and that's part of the artificial intelligence stuff. That's another show, but privacy is a good thing, people. All right. So, make sure you're protecting your privacy, especially your home. And if you got a family, make sure you got your privacy stuff set up at home, especially with kids. Here's something I'll say this, because we're already over time. Privacy setting on your computers. If you have young kids at home, make sure the privacy settings that you set up privacy settings for your children at the appropriate age.
Yeah, definitely.
Don't let them
Even
be looking at things. Don't let them get onto chat rooms or anything like that. Set
because you never know who's sitting.
That's how all that crap starts. So
who's sitting on the other side of that computer? You got me going, Adam, and it's time to wrap up.
We'll have to do another series on this one, but privacy. Make sure you guys, set that stuff up. So, any parting words, Patti?
No, not really. I mean, I think we covered everything. Um, check your settings. That's it.
Yeah. Privacy. It's important.
And,
Check it.
and don't stalk us.
Yeah. And again, we'd like to say thank you for listening to all you 3-letter agencies that are listening to this pre-recorded show. Fuckers. All right, folks.
We're going to have to change the rating of the show because you just said that like 3 times.
It's already on adult because every now and then
Okay.
what was I hey, quick shout out to our home network, Heroes Media Group. Make sure you go over there and check out all the other great shows, articles. If you would like to become part of the HMG family, send them an email at info@heroesmediagroup.com. You can check out the website at www.heroesmediagroup.com. Follow Patti and I on Facebook, facebook.com/The Decision Hour. And we have some other pages out there, so just type us in and see if you can find us. But that's all the time we have for today's show. We appreciate you listening. For Patti, I'm Adam. You've been listening to The Decision Hour.